Welcome to the Black Doctor Collective podcast. We as Black doctors are in a unique position. We can change our communities, healthcare, and the world. Of course, we start by changing the way we see and value ourselves. I'm your host, Dr. Shanika Horn, pediatrician and physician coach, travel extraordinaire. I am so happy to have you here and listening. So let's get into it. Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to an episode of the Black Doctor Collective podcast. I am your host, Shanika. Probably you already know that. Okay. So funny. I'm actually going to talk this episode about what do you win when you negotiate. But before I get into that, because I've had some wins and I'm pretty excited to share about that. But before I get into that, I want to talk about the power of talking to other people about your life and about what you want and what you're trying to accomplish and achieve. And I think that that is a core component of negotiating. I was having this conversation last week with a fellow doctor, a fellow coach, Dr. Jeannie. Shout out Dr. Jeannie. And in describing what I'm doing right now and the fact that I'm really trying to take a break, really trying to scale back from everything that I'm doing because I burnt myself out, Dr. Jeannie was like, "You're clearly on a sabbatical." And I was like, why did I not think of that? Like, that is a perfect summation of what is happening right now. Although I'm still working, and so in my mind, I think because I'm still working clinically, the idea that I'm on sabbatical is like, what? How could you be on sabbatical and work? That's my brain is like, cannot compute. But honestly, that's not mutually exclusive, right? Like, I can be on a sabbatical from a very specific thing. When you're on sabbatical, you're on a break, not from your entire life. You're usually on a break from one specific thing. Usually that is your primary job. In this case, for me, my sabbatical is all of the things that were like ancillary, right? All of the things that kept me busy, even though they were fulfilling, I didn't necessarily need to pile on to my plate. And my dishwasher is definitely running. This was just poor planning in my mind. I was like, I'm going to multitask. I'm going to do dishes. I'm going to record the podcast. And I wanted to do it in this setting because if you're watching on the YouTube, you get a new environment and you can see my beautiful new plant. This is a Ripsalis paradoxa. If you're just listening to the audio and you can't see all the pretty things and you're also hearing my dishwasher, I'm sorry for it. Okay. Anyway, I am on a sabbatical from busyness. That's what I've decided. And it has been glorious. And it's just taken me such a long time to accept that I can take a break. And I know I talk about this, and I've talked about like my struggle with using vacations for escapism. But this has been one of my primary goals for the fall and winter is how do I take a break in place? How do I manage to rest and relax without a vacation, like in my home? How do I not just fill my schedule with stuff? Because I love to fill my schedule with stuff. So that's what I've been doing. And let me tell you, it is glorious. I'm almost scared that I'm going to enjoy it so much that I'm never going to pick up a thing again, which honestly wouldn't necessarily be the worst, but I don't know. I still have a reticence about it. Like I feel very scared. So anyway, I have literally, instead of doing all the coaching things on Mondays and Wednesdays like I used to do, I'm just not doing that. Like I have a couple clients, we're finishing up a couple things, working on very specific goals, but I'm sure you've noticed, like even on social media, even on the podcast, I'm not like full blown selling the coaching program, even though I still love to help people negotiate. So when people reach out and they want to do it, I'm like, yeah, cool. But I'm not actively going out and recruiting people for the program because it allows me to have a lighter schedule. And I really need that right now. So welcome to Sabbatical Me. I almost didn't record this episode because Sabbatical Me really just doesn't want to do anything but sit in the house, enjoy my plants, do my plant chores, as I call them. I like water all the things and do trimmings and repots and shop online and watch YouTube and Netflix. Like Sabbatical Me is chilling, okay? So when I think about this podcast and I know that I'm taking up people's time, and time for me is the most valuable resource. I want to make sure that when you're coming here, you're actually getting decent content, that I'm not just recording to record, that I actually have something to say. And so if I feel, even in this season, that I don't have anything, I don't have a message for the week, I may skip some weeks. Gasp, I know. That feels so dysregulating to my own nervous system, but it's going to be fine. Okay, let's get to the point of the episode. Enough talking about me and where I am. Okay, I'm still talking about me because I'm going to talk about my wins. I wanted to talk about, let me get my little notes here, all the ways negotiation has paid off for me, right? And payoffs have been really, really big. And I want to share that because, of course, all of these things look good in hindsight. They feel good in hindsight. But the knowing was before, right? Knowing what I wanted, having an idea of the direction I wanted to move in, what kind of job I wanted, the hours I wanted to work, how much time off I had, the flexibility to take the time off that I needed. Like all of those things I had to sit down and picture. And there's an episode a couple seasons back where I talk about your dream life. And I repeat this at least probably once a season because it's so critical, especially around this time of year when everybody's in reflection mode anyway, that you spend time thinking about what your dream life would actually look like. If you removed the fear, like right now, I still have the fear of putting things down, of not working every day all the time, things that were familiar to me, that are comfort to me, that feel like I don't have to explain that to others because everybody seems to be a workaholic in America, right? So like working more is something I don't have to explain, but working less. Ah. So if I removed all of those fears, what would my dream life actually look like? And I'm actually going to do that after this. Just sit and really think about it because every once in a while you just need to reflect and make sure you're still on the right path. And that is what shapes your negotiations, your future job searches, like how you navigate your day-to-day boundaries. And with that vision in mind, that you march in that direction, whether or not you know for sure you're going to get it, you know that it will be good for you. And sometimes doing something solely because it's good for you is enough of a reason. I also love the added bonus of like when I do things for myself and I show up for myself and I am content and rested, that it also translates into my patient care. And so this week I had a nice win. This week has been insane, y'all. Let me just set the stage. This week, the CDC changed their website, or last week, the CDC changed their website and said that, the evidence that may link vaccines to autism hasn't been well studied or some nonsense, like garbage saying that we have not used evidence to come to this conclusion, which is crazy. And science does not work like that. We do not prove without a doubt. Like you cannot be like vaccines do not cause autism without a doubt, but we can prove that there's no link, right? Like we're saying like right now actively, we do not see evidence to support the affirmative, the correlation, the causation of vaccines and autism. That evidence just does not exist. So that is just like, it's coming from the CDC, which is crazy. Obviously, they fired all the actual scientists and people with brains, and they replaced it with worm brain man who doesn't have an MD or any medical training, and a whole bunch of yes people who just say yes to whatever and are conspiracy theorists and are really just stirring up the undereducated masses. And I don't want to say undereducated in a way that's like condescending, because that's not really what I mean. What I mean is like, we literally don't have the training to understand the depths of the research, to understand the science and the nuance between like vaccine creation policy, epidemiology, parasitology, right? There's a lot of ologies involved in understanding the nuances of how vaccines work, how science experiments work, creating hypotheses, proving a hypothesis, right? Power, statistical power. Like there's a lot of math, there's a lot of statistics and things involved in creating these statements that we make that do not link, right? That we say we cannot link this thing. But most people don't understand that because it's very like a specialist thing. So it's fine that most people don't understand that. But then they're using that against them. right? So they're using everyone's lack of understanding to create fear and to create doubt and to stir the pot. And really, it's not just the damage of the doubt, it's going to be the damage of the public health system where people are going to stop getting vaccinated to their own detriment, to their children's detriment, actually, because they are already vaccinated. It's their kids that are going to suffer. And once these diseases reemerge, it's going to be too late for so many young children, so many young people whose lives will be permanently impacted by a vaccine preventable disease. And that to me is devastating. So that's the stage, right? This is the political climate that we are in. It's a very stressful time to be a doctor. It's a very stressful time to be a parent. It's a very stressful time to be in science. It's a very stressful time to be educated because obviously there's so many attacks on what we call professions, right? Like they're declaring that they do not support the funding of educational programs for nurses, for teachers, for all of our allied health individuals, even for my MPH. God knows I would not have afforded a master's in public health without some student loan support, right? Like I worked for the university, which allowed me a certain amount of credits at like 94% off. But any credits outside of those, I had to pay in full. And the remaining balance I had to pay, right? So I used student loans for those things. So the fact that they're disqualifying so many degrees for federal funding is an attack on education. Okay. So on the cusp of this CDC website change, we sent out an email as a practice to say our practice is not going to change its position. We have the support of years of research from several countries. It's the support of the American Academy of Pediatrics. Like, we understand it's a confusing time, but we are going to be consistent in the science. Okay, fine. So that felt empowering. And the reason I linked this to negotiation is because I'm always so careful about the practices that I go to, and I need to make sure that their values align with mine. Because it's more than just working somewhere and doing a task. Like, science is very clearly intertwined now with politics, with religion, with belief, with all of these things. So I cannot practice in a place where they do not allow me to care for my patients in a way that supports my own values. And of course, that can obviously go in the negative way. There's people who are like, I don't believe in same-sex marriages, so I don't want to do, like, we're not talking about that. I'm talking about like actual evidence-based science, not an opinion. But if I were to practice, if I were not to negotiate, and I ended up in a practice that did not support evidence-based medicine, which I've been in those practices, I've worked for those people, and I had to say no to them. But then this thing would happen and I would feel voiceless. And I would know that I was doing a disservice to my patients and my patient population. So this for me is a subtle win. It's not like when you negotiate for money or when you negotiate for like vacation time or non-competes. This is like part of creating a negotiation like plan, like a BATNA, right? Best alternative to negotiated agreement. What do you want the most? What do you must have? What's your must have? This is one of my must haves. And it really paid off this week because the politics are crazy. And I only want to work for an institution that also supports evidence-based medicine and caring compassion for people. Like I think about people whose institutions are literally fighting against ICE to not let ICE into their institutions. Like, those are the kind of workplaces I want to be in, right? I don't want to be in the workplace that is allowing ICE to run havoc and making people feel unsafe to the point where they don't come and seek medical care. So that is like it's almost like a soft, when they call things a soft science, like a soft social science, this is like a soft negotiation, right? It's not, like I said, money or time or PTO or whatever, but it is an important component. So for me, this is like a huge win that I'm paying attention enough to myself and how I want to be and how I want to practice so that when things come up, because I did not imagine this or foreshadow this or in a million years think I would have to be addressing this in my career. But now that it's happened, I'm like, oh, this is why I am very specific about what I want and what I'm seeking in a job environment. Okay. Second win of the week was After we sent that email, we sent a mass messaging over our patient portal via email. It's on our website. Okay. A patient's mom, so one of our parents, reached out and sent the most beautiful email. In fact, I'm going to pull it up on my phone so that I can actually read it to you because it was so lovely. And I teared up a little. I'm not going to lie because I love sentimentalities. So I'm going to pull up this email, but it was just so beautiful to receive this and to understand that people are supporting us, right? So we got an email. We sent that message out on Friday. And Friday evening, a parent replied and said, "Thank you," was the subject line. So we said, everybody send us feedback at our office email address if you have questions or feedback or whatever. So the email said, "Thank you. I just wanted to thank you for the email you sent about vaccines. I can imagine the fears people are bringing to you, and I'm grateful you all are being proactive and clear, because clear is kind is clear, about how your positions are sound and grounded in science." I'm like, first of all, I love this woman. She's a dream. Okay. Love. Anyway, the second half of her email is my second win. She said, "Also, I just wanted to add that we love Dr. Horn so much." That's me. "Patient had a vaccine recently and she gets really anxious. Dr. Horn was so kind and patient, and her bedside manner made all the difference." Y'all, first of all, like the validation, like I have talked ad nauseum on this podcast about setting your own internal metrics and using your own internal validation points, because the system will tell you that what you're doing is not enough. You need to see more people. You need to do it faster. You need to write faster notes. Your visits have to be short. Like they will tell you volume is better. And if you're not meeting those volume metrics, you will be measuring yourself by a capitalist scale that has nothing to do with patient outcomes or patient satisfaction scores or public health or wellness or well-being, or yours or the patient's. And so one of the things I talk about when I negotiate is I set my own internal measures of success. And what does that look like to me? Like I actually had time to converse with the patient. I had time to reassure somebody. I had time to educate on a very difficult topic like vaccines, right? Like I had time. I got to choose how to spend that time. I chose to spend that time with patients doing things that were supportive of their care and their well-being. That is like literally the goal of being a doctor. Like, why else am I here if I cannot help my people get healthier, have great quality of care, have a good quality of life, understand the decisions they're making for themselves, make better decisions? That's like literally the bread and butter of primary care. So, getting this email was special for two reasons. Of course, we all love external validation, but also that particular validation literally matched with my own internal metrics. So it's like a 2-for-1 dopamine hit. It's so beautiful to hear that because I had time to sit with her daughter, who was so anxious. She was so sweet, but so and like tearing up just at the anticipation. And I get it. Like someone's coming at you with a sharp object. Okay. You don't want to sit there. Nobody does. Nobody likes shots. I don't even like shots as an adult. I hated them as a kid. I have gotten over it and I can sit still, obviously, for a shot and I just do it and I move on. But I don't like it. And imagine that in a kid who like doesn't always have the full brain development to support all the emotions they're feeling, to really understand what's happening to them. And if I could take a few minutes to it was just me and her in the room. Like parents went outside because sometimes the energy of another person, like when you're feeling bad and then someone goes to hug you and it makes you want to cry even more. Or like you're feeling anxious and you're kind of reading the faces of the people in the room with you and they are also anxious and not calm. So sometimes I find it's helpful to just be eye to eye, be level with my patients from whatever age, right? Like I talk directly to the patient. I will sit next to them. I'll sit on the bed with them. I will hug them. I will bring them tissues. Like I will do all the things, right? Because I think it's really important to create a sense of safety when they are feeling unsafe. So the fact that I had the ability to not feel like, oh my God, my next patient is waiting. I gotta rush. There's people, the waiting room is backed up. We're double booked. We're overbooked. And now this kid is like freaking out about this vaccine and I don't have time for this. Like, I don't want to practice like that. I can't have patience in that moment because I have so many internal conversations that are happening that I cannot provide what that girl needed in that moment. But I have negotiated my behind off. And I now work in a place where we have long well visits, long sick visits, and I can spend time with my kiddos. And so I sat on the bed with her. We talked about stuff. I used all my best distraction techniques. And honestly, she teared up a little bit, but she really like soldiered through. Like she really fed off of my energy. Like sometimes you have to borrow the confidence of other people, the safety and certainty of other people. Sometimes that's why like motivational speaking works, right? Like you feel the energy, and even if you feel a little bit uncertain or unsure, they will carry you through. And I feel like in that moment, I was able to do that for her. And so she came out of the room, face dry, no actual tears. And the dad was like, that has never happened. Like, I've had a lot of kids who I vaccinated who their parents are like, oh my God, they're going to freak out. They're going to freak out. And then I go in and I'm like super calm. I am eye of the storm, relaxed, comforting, reassuring. I talk them through the whole thing and they come out and the parents are like, okay, I was impressed because I negotiated for time. So a lot of times we think like these things are not important and we give up at the negotiating table. These are the things that we're fighting for in actuality. It's so clear in hindsight and it's not always clear in foresight, but this is what we are fighting for. This is why we are negotiating. Why I'm like, I need a longer time. I need proper support. I need a good MA team. I need a good EHR because then I don't have to worry about things that are sucking my time that are going to take away from the patients that I actually want to take care of. The most important part of the whole day is that interaction that I have with another human being. It's not the notes. It's not the like rushing around and documenting and doing all the things. Like it is that moment. And so I think that no matter what, that is always going to be my priority. And I will always negotiate my tail off for that. Okay. The other like things I've negotiated for myself that I think also frame this positive experience is like, I do have a part-time schedule. I do limit how much clinic time I have. Clinic can be really exhausting, y'all. It's decision making all day. It's reflection. It's careful thought, consideration. You need time to think. I need time to think. I need time to reflect. And I also need time where I'm not at that high level of functioning. And I don't really want to do that every day because I don't think that makes me a better doctor. Sure, I can do it. I've done it for years, but I'm no longer at the point in my life where I feel like I need to do that every day. And so that when I'm on, I'm on. My brain is clear and crisp and I can think and process. So I negotiated a part-time schedule. That part-time schedule allows me to be happy to go into work because I don't have to see those people every day. And I don't have to think hard every day. And I don't have decision fatigue all the time. And I still actually have a lot of decision fatigue, but it would be so much worse if I was full-time. And then in order for me to be happy at a part-time schedule, I had to negotiate for a higher pay rate, right? Like I had to negotiate up to afford to be able to be part-time. All of these things go hand in hand. Sometimes you think I'm asking for a high number and it just feels greedy, or I'm asking for a lower patient volume and it feels lazy, or the fact that I'm asking feels ungrateful because they're offering me something. But without making the connection, without connecting the dots, you will not see how being paid more and working part-time translates to better healthcare. So I'm drawing that line for you where I'm showing you the linear pathway between taking care of yourself and taking care of others. Oh, there's a siren coming. Let me pause. Okay, I'm back. It was probably like a non-existent pause in the actual recording world, but in real life, I live on the same street as a fire station, and when the sirens are going, they're going, right? So I just had to take a little moment. But Anyway, what I was saying to you is I'm drawing a clear line between how serving yourself equals serving other people. Protecting yourself means that you will be protective of the people who need you the most. It also, for me, I've always argued that working the way you want and the way you desire is a direct way to be a sustainable practitioner, right? If you burn out, like the way I burnt out in my coaching practice and the way I burnt out in like busyness, guess what? You scale back and then you don't get to serve the people you want to serve. So if you are able to protect your time to do less so that you can reserve and have a reserve, that really is beneficial to everyone you want to serve. And that's just like how it works. Okay. That's like not just patient visit lengths and vacation time. It's also like making sure you take a lunch break. Like I said, making sure you have the thing that helps you do your notes. So you're not preoccupied mentally about when am I going to finish my notes. If you have good MAs who are doing your triage in a timely fashion, if you have dragon dictation or a scribe or whatever makes your job administratively easier, all of those things are coming down to the moment in the patient room where you don't have to think about all of the stuff and why you are struggling. If you show up not struggling, it manifests into better patient care and better outcomes, period. Point blank. This is the hill I'm willing to die on. So make sure you take your lunch break this week. Make sure that you are in a place where the culture aligns with your values. And if you cannot speak up, start looking for a new place. Make sure that your salary supports the lifestyle you want to have, whether that be part-time, whether that is maybe you want to do more surgical time versus clinic time or whatever, like whatever the breakdown is of how your day is supposed to go, make sure you have it. Think about it. Think about what it would be to have that thing. Think about how that would impact your patients. Think about what that actually looks like in concrete terms. How much leave, how much money, how much time, how much patient time, whatever it is, because the knowing comes first. The reward of it comes after. The confidence comes after. You don't need confidence to negotiate. You don't need the reward. You just need to know that you're doing something that's going to work out. And, well, you don't even know if it's going to work out, but you just need to know you're doing something that is ideally going to be beneficial, right? Like you're moving in a direction and there's a reason why, even for your own mind, there's a reason why. So thank you for listening, for tuning in. I hope that was helpful. I always hope to be helpful. It's like one of my own internal things is I never want to waste anyone's time. So thank you. I appreciate all those who listen and give me feedback. Y'all are the bomb.com and y'all also crack me up. But yeah, enjoy your week. Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe to the podcast. And what I want you to do next is link us everywhere you can. Instagram at The Black Doctor. Just become part of our collective. I want you here. Thanks. Until next time. Bye.